had a chance to pull off a childhood dream sometime back, and it was to take my family to the Rose Bowl Parade, Pasadena, California. Now, the reason that's so hard is it's always on January 1st. And we always have a big event on December 31st. And so we were never able to go, but for some reason there was a glitch somewhere. I don't remember what it was. I think it was 2001, somewhere in there. I think somewhere in there. It ways back. No, it was later than that. Maybe 2021. Anyways, there was a glitch. So we had a chance, and I rallied our family, and we went the day before. You have to go in the afternoon if you're going to be able to at least see the parade. So the day before in the afternoon we had gone, picked our spot. We spent the night on the curb of the street, all of us. My kids, my grandkids, and it wasn't just loud and so uncomfortable, but it was incredibly cold. I think it was a Kaylin that got really sick. She kind of went blind for a minute and got really sick. And so nobody in my family ever wants to do that again. But I had fun. I thought it was great. And anyways, there's another man that we can learn, and you all know this story. I've touched on it briefly in different times, but he's a little man. It gives us kind of some big lessons. His name's Zacchaeus. And he also wanted to see the parade that was coming his way. The parade was actually all surrounding Jesus. A very different parade than the Rose Bowl parade. And let's go and read the story, and then we'll take off from there. So Jesus entered Jericho, and he made his way through the town, and there was a man named Zacchaeus, and he was a chief tax collector. He became very rich. And he tried to get a look at Jesus, but he was too short to see over the crowd. And so he ran ahead and he climbed into a sycamore tree beside the road where Jesus was going to pass. And when Jesus came by, he looked up at Zacchaeus and called him, "Zacchaeus, come down quickly. I want to be a guest in your home today." Zacchaeus quickly climbed down and took Jesus to his house with great joy and excitement. But the crowds were displeased. "Jesus has gone to be with the guest of a sinner," they grumbled. Meanwhile, Zacchaeus stood in the house, his own house, and said to Jesus, "I will give half my wealth to the poor. And if I've cheated people on their taxes, I will give them back 4 times as much." Jesus responded, "Salvation is coming to this home today. This man has shown himself to be a true child of God. For I've come to seek and to save those who are lost." And so what a great story. But let's look at this man, Zacchaeus, just a little bit closer. He was the most hated man in probably that county. Number one, he was working for the oppressors of their country, the Romans. And the Romans wanted to squeeze all they could out of Israel financially, but they didn't want to commit their own Roman citizens to do that. So they recruited locals to collect the tax. They gave them a percentage. The more that tax collector collected, the more that they got themselves. So Zacchaeus was chief tax collector, successful at ripping people off. And he earned the title, slowly moving up that ladder, taxed the citizens, his own people of his own town, taking advantage of them. The Bible says he became rich, of course, off the backs of others. And he made their lives way more difficult than it already was. So he was despised as a traitor working for Rome. He was hated also as just being a thief. He took more than what was required. But this man was curious about what he heard about Jesus. And he was especially curious because he's coming through his own town. He heard the stories. He had the power to heal. Demons departed from people he commanded that they depart from. He heard how he faced off the Pharisees, the religious leaders, and how he fought off for the sake of a prostitute, Mary Magdalene, with maybe whom he had visited him himself. So, he wanted actually more than just to see what he looked like. More than just to see if he would do some kind of miracle and be entertained for a few minutes. But I'm thinking he had like a deep need in his life himself. And he couldn't bring about the change. He'd messed up his life way beyond repair. And he was maybe just hoping this man would say something or do something, or he could catch something or learn something that might be and bring about change. So, he couldn't get a view. He just, first of all, just wanted to see him. I'm sure he would have listened to him and followed him, but I just got to see him first. But he's unable to get past the crowd. The crowd had one thing over Zacchaeus, rich man, ripping him off. Size. Everyone was bigger than that little small fry. So people would not open their way and let him through. They wouldn't do it. They just sealed him off, pushed him out. So he's looking down the road, and he can tell which ways Jesus is going to go because there's only one way to go. And he runs up the road, runs like a little kid would run. Then he climbs a tree like a little kid would climb a tree. And he already feels little. But he pushes out aside, didn't care what people thought anymore. Now he had to see Jesus. So Jesus gets to that place, looks up, like he's looking for him. Okay, there he is. Zacchaeus, quickly, come down. You know, God was actually looking for Zacchaeus before Zacchaeus was looking for him. But when Jesus saw him, he had this ability to see through the front, the image, the pride, the dignity he had out of his career. I'm chief of tax collectors. And the security that he had in his wealth. He could see past all of that. He saw he held his head walking high and tried to be as taller as he actually was, but this man was walking with a broken heart. Unliked, lonely, and he knew he was messed up. You know, a verse in the Bible kind of depicts Jesus as long as a lot of people that don't have wealth. Rich people may think they're wise, but a poor person with discernment can see right through them. That's what was going on here, is Jesus could see right through him, and he saw that this guy really hurting. But he climbed that tree to see me. This guy's ripe, really ripe, and I think he'd be quick to believe. I think he'd be quick to repent. So he told him, Nicodemus, come down quick. You know, you need to strike when the iron's hot. When people are at all open, any mention in the slightest about, what is this Christian thing? Man, jump on it right away, quick, because it may not stay there. We want to move while the heart's tender. So Jesus invites himself to Zacchaeus' house. Now, what you may not know is that's actually very much just Middle Eastern culture. You can do that. I had a woman in the elevator when we were in Turkey, and she lives all the way up on the top, the penthouse, and she's the wealthiest woman in the building, and they've got money. And we had a nice place, but theirs was like over and above. So we're going down in the elevator together, and she didn't speak much English, but she spoke enough to communicate this. I want to come to your house. I want to eat your food. Now in America, that's like way weird. It just doesn't work. We would simply say, that ain't happening. But over there, he's wanting to honor us. She's wanting to give us, her favor, because she's something and we're less than her, and that's just the way that they show that they're coming all the way down. And it's not that they're coming down, but they're bringing you up to their level. That's just how they look at it. The only one that could probably get away with that is John Medeiros. This is President Trump. Yeah, could you have your wife have a lunch ready for me? We're going to swing by your house before we get to the masses. That would be okay, wouldn't it? When you have that kind of status. And so we do understand that. I'd really like to come visit you at your house. Now, but in this culture, that's what he was doing. But everybody knew what was happening while Jesus was saying, I want to go where you live. Right where you live. Again, honoring, accepting them, coming down to them, bringing them up, giving them grace and mercy. And so this is what he was doing with Zacchaeus. Forgiveness. And forget the past. Covered under the blood. So he wanted a personal relationship with Zacchaeus. I want personal time with you, face to face. I want to dine with you. I want to talk with you until the late night hours. This was such an incredible honor. And the crowd, they were insulted. Gone to be a guest with a sinner. I surely thought he was going to ask me. And, Jesus began to be known as the friend of sinners. He eats with sinners. Yeah. Everyone would have never expected God to show this man the most hated man in the county. This man any kind of attention at all. But Jesus had perspectives. Okay, that's a new word. You know what spectacles are? Yeah. Okay? Well, he had perspectives. Perspectives. And just looking at it from a different angle, you know, I really tried to get a video that I wanted to show you, a little bit long, like 3-4 minute video, but I have to tell you, I could not get it downloaded. It was a problem. I tried every which way, but it has this young teenager, probably a senior in high school. He's walking through his high school, and everybody's smiling, everybody's happy, everybody's talking, they're laughing, and this and that. And then all of a sudden, and he's kind of have a bit of a bad day of it, all of a sudden, he goes to the janitor, bumps into him, and the janitor's like, and he kind of notices him. So the janitor takes out of his pocket a pair of glasses, spectacles. Like, I don't need them. Put them on. They put them on, and immediately whoever he looked at, the pessimistic valedictorian, how do you say it? Valedictorian, okay. He's looking at her, and she's smiling, but he saw now and understood that her dad had passed away 2 days ago. Then he saw another cute couple that everybody just liked, and they're walking down the hallway, and he saw that he was addicted to painkillers, and she was being abused by him. Then he saw into the lunchroom the lonely, the helpless, the numb, the one that never feels good enough, the one contemplating suicide. Then he sees the tough bully. He's motherless. He's dyslexic, and he's beaten all the time by his father. Then he sees a teacher that feels worthless and unsuccessful. And then he sees the volleyball star that's scared and hates the mirror, and she cuts herself. He sees all this. Perspectables or perspective. Okay, let me just keep going. I'm having a hard time tonight. I think I need a monster. Why did Jesus choose Zacchaeus? Yes, he could see through that he was actually very different than the rest. The crowd was following. They were watching. But they didn't really have any expectation for themselves. They only maybe wished that something might happen. Maybe he'll come to me, but they didn't really expect it. Whereas, I believe Zacchaeus did. And then Zacchaeus was also aggressive toward Christ. See Christ, just to see him, he was so aggressive in that, dropped what he was doing. Wouldn't settle for, I can't get through. I tried, he won't let me in. I can't get in there. I can't do it. No, he said, no, I've got to see him. I've got to see him. So there was something there. So then he goes, figures out a way, did whatever he had to do, and climbs this sycamore tree to place himself where Jesus would walk by, that he could just see him. He climbed the sycamore tree. Now, I don't know, maybe you heard this story, but when we were in Israel with Pastor Mitchell and the fellowship, we had gone to Israel years back. It was 99 or 2000, right in there. But we were in Jericho. And the tour guide in the bus went by, actually, he went by a sycamore tree. Okay, okay, did we not get, I think we got the wrong one in there. That's all right. Okay, well, I have a picture of I have a picture of the sycamore tree, but it's on the second one, I think, that I sent. Uh-oh. Did he take it off? John took it off? Okay, anyways. So we see this sycamore tree. It's 1,000 years old. 1,000 years old. So not all the way back in the time of Jesus, but that's still pretty stinking old. So we pull up, the tour guide's there. And so he just gets done talking. And so Pastor Mitchell whispers to me, Rick, go out and climb it. Go out and climb it. And I'm like, Pastor Mitchell, go out and climb it. I just sat there. My pride would not let me do that. And afterwards, you didn't climb it. I wanted you to climb it. He wasn't miffed, but he was a little disappointed. It's like, that was a lot to ask, to Anyways, he actually climbed it, put down all of his pride, everything, just laid it down and said, I want to see him. Didn't matter what people thought. Look at you in the tree up there, monkey. And the mockery that would come. And he thought himself to be lost. He knew he was in trouble. He was in trouble with God. He knew that. He'd given himself to pleasure, luxury. So, Jesus spoke to the lukewarm church. They didn't know. I'm all lost here now. Here we are. You say you're rich and have everything I want and I don't need anything. Well, that's a good part of the world, isn't it? Even the religious world. God can't help us if we think we're okay. God can't help us. So he laid down his pride. And, it's still not here? I guess not. Okay. So here's one of the city's most wealthy citizens in a tree. And now contrast this to one chapter prior, the Pharisees. Okay, this man knew everybody hates me. Everybody thinks I'm an idiot anyways, or an evil man. I don't care. I just want to see Jesus. I don't care what they say. So contrast that with this. One chapter prior, Luke 18, we're reading out of Luke 19, the Pharisee stood by himself and he prayed this prayer. I thank you, God, that I'm not like other people, cheaters, sinners, adulterers. I certainly not like that tax collector. Names of, interesting. What a contrast. Praying, Nicodemus is pounding himself. So Zacchaeus has a very telling response. In Luke 19:8, Zacchaeus stood before the Lord and said, I will give half my wealth to the poor. Lord, and if I have cheated any people in tax, I'll give them back 4 times as much. Half of my wealth. Who? Poor. He's not winning favors. I'll give it to another guy because he really, he takes care of me and he lets me golf at the golf range. No. Poor. Just I'll give it to the poor. And, he's making a very hard decision here. His whole life was money. He had nothing else. Some people have some things else besides money, but this guy had nothing. Nothing else. Notice he's single. Single. He was the only midget in town. So, he's given up the one thing that he did have, money. And contrast this again to the former chapter, Luke 18. A man that really wanted Jesus, wanted to follow, but Jesus said, there's still one thing there's the tree. Did you move it? You moved it. Okay. There's the tree. Okay. All right. There you see it. Okay. All right. Let's go here. Luke 18. There's still one thing you haven't done. Yeah, that wants to follow Jesus. Sell all your possessions, give the money to the poor, and you will have treasures in heaven. Then come follow me. Inviting him to be a disciple. Come follow me. When the man heard this, he became very sad, for he was very rich. I'm going to make myself unrich. Zacchaeus is saying half to the poor right off the bat. Then anybody, I can remember a lot of them, but you're going to have to come to me because I don't remember everybody, but 4 times. When I ripped you off, I'll pay you back 4 times. We're talking, he's putting himself in a position of going bankrupt. He didn't care. He vocalized it publicly. Proof that he was a true convert. Proof that he really got Jesus. It was the outward witness of a changed life. And he knew what he would give back was nothing compared to what Jesus just gave him. Life everlasting. He called him, you're a child of God. True child. It changed his entire direction, his whole life. Everything was laid aside. To cling to the old meant, I'm going to lose Christ. I'm letting go of the old. And he just simply wanted to make what was wrong right. So important. So, another thing is there's this genuine concern for the poor. People that were just going without. Meeting Christ really does bring about a powerful change, doesn't it? You really meet Christ, and all Zacchaeus needed, Jesus picked up on this, is to be noticed, accepted, forgiven, and to just know that he wasn't just being tolerated, but God actually, genuinely, personally cared about him. Changed everything. That truth changed everything. And I don't think, this is just a thought on the side, the Bible doesn't tell us that Zacchaeus quit his job. No, I don't think he did. I believe he used his job as an opportunity to glorify God. Just told them what their taxes were, but I get nothing. You can help me a little, I'd sure appreciate it. I've changed. How powerful would that be? But let's look at one last thing here. Just the confirmation of Christ about him. Salvation has come to this house today. For this man has shown himself to be a true child of God. There's going to be some show that you're a true child of God. You can't just silently sit there and everybody's, are they saved? They're not saved? Or I'm going with them and no, there's going to be some show. There's going to be something come from that. And obviously, it was his giving. And it's because he found the true riches. Happiness is being forgiven from your sin. Joy comes from just being free. Blessings come and the benefits of salvation. Being a child of God, the covering, the relationship, we can go on and on. And so Jesus is saying, this is how it goes. You're really saved. And then he makes this statement. This is my job, guys. I've come to seek and save the lost. And did you know that Jesus' job is actually our job? Seek and save the lost? No one's beyond Jesus' help. It amazed everybody. Zacchaeus? Zacchaeus? No, can't be. Must be a lookalike. No, he's really short. Zacchaeus. And he was especially ripe. All along, people thought he was the worst, most evil man ever. But he was the most ripe. The rejection, being looked down on, being ignored and shunned. all the extra difficult struggles that he had because of that, he was ripe. We don't see. I wish we had perspectives. I wish, because we don't see what people are going through. I read a story here about Casey Fisher. He was annoyed by a homeless man, Chris, that was counting change at Dunkin' Donuts. But he talked with him, being in line, and as he's talking to him, just kind of a compassion kicked up, and he bought him coffee, bought him a bagel, and actually he just wanted to sit down and talk with the man, and he did. And the man said, "People are so mean to me. Since my mom died, I turned to drugs, and it got in me, and I hate my life. I hate the man I've become." So Chris is thinking, this guy is just so very honest. So very honest. So he sat there for an hour, and about to leave, he wrote in a note, and he gave it to her, or gave it to him, Chris, or Casey. And I probably confused you, okay? Chris was the homeless man. Casey was the one listening. And so Chris gave Casey this note written on a napkin. So anyways, got out the door and into her car, in his car, opened it up and said, "I was about to kill myself today, but because of you, I'm not going to. Thank you. You're an incredible person." No idea. Just talking to this guy, and seems bummed, counting his change to get a donut, coffee. And yet, he's saying, "I've decided I'm going to do it today." I remember one guy years ago that we had gone to an outreach before I went out to pastor, and went into this one park. I just felt God wanted me to go to this park and witness. It's by our house. I ran across a guy, and tough guy, gangster guy. But I just witnessed to him, talked to him. And he was there, and he was a little bit broken. I didn't know until later that because he beat his wife up really bad. But he also had a gun. Absolutely was just going to blow off his head. He got so saved, incredibly saved. He went to the Tempe church for a while. I remember him going to the high school and jumping up right on the picnic table and just preaching. I was going to kill myself. He had a big bandana, and I mean, he had a powerful testimony. Well, then he left. I don't remember what happened, but he's not there today. But still, you don't know. I didn't know that till later. He actually was going to kill himself. He was so frustrated with himself. So you never know. You never know. Zacchaeus, gosh, now he really wants to help the poor, and he wants to just reward anyone he's cheated. These are people that are going to gain from his salvation. Can you imagine getting a check 4 times back again, what you overpaid? Wouldn't that be nice? You know, some scholars believe Zacchaeus was the very first pastor of the church in Sisera. They just believe he became the pastor. He probably had a very short pulpit. But wouldn't that be cool? He did become a disciple and followed Christ. God, we need you to just somehow plug in.